Please send me some more light in my room. New office space. I don't know why. It's crazy because the room like points the same way as the living room, but then again, the living room has like two big windows where it's like this one's like just half a size of like one of them or a quarter of them. So
Yeah.
But whatever. I got a lot of space now. I got like my own office area. We've got like separation, so it's like pretty cool. And it feels like I'm in an office technically instead of like my living room. So it's like cool to like close the door or just be in the zone, play some music without like, the other parties distracted. So
The phone zone.
I call it the fun zone. You might call it the phone zone, but I call it the fun zone. Dude, what is up with that shirt you're wearing, dude? Take that Huff shirt off.
See this? 2003. This thing goes way freaking back.
Also, if you're listening, or to Roman, are you excited for that ESPN 30 for 30 that Tom Brady's doing, or no?
I didn't even know about it. Tell me more.
So pretty much, I think Tom Brady's doing like a 30 for 30 series. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's not like, because 30 for 30 is typically like it's like almost like a movie / like documentary. But this one is like a series that like pretty much goes over like the Patriots like career with Tom Brady. I think maybe just him in football in general. Like it'll probably go over like Tampa Bay stuff like at the end. But supposedly they're like episodes. So so yeah, it's gonna be cool. I think they're releasing the first episode, I think this week.
Okay.
Yeah, so you should check it out. I'm guessing it'll be on Netflix. Some of them end up on Netflix, if I can imagine. I mean, it's Tom Brady, so I'm assuming it'll be on. I want to watch it. I really want to watch it. I'm not even that big of a Tom Brady fan. I just like him.
Yeah.
So.
Heck yeah.
I think he's one of the GOATs. I'm not going to talk about I think the Pats are probably doing better than the Vikings. And I think the Vikings have like a better team. That's like the funny thing.
5-4, baby.
Yeah.
We had a good game this week, but I got a notification when I was shopping last night, just like grocery shopping, that Nick Chubb is on the COVID-19 list. But
are you guys playing the Browns?
Yeah, we're playing the Browns. So.
But you got to worry about Nixon too, right? Is that his name?
No, Mixon is he's RB1 for the Bengals.
Oh, okay.
Worry about Kareem Hunt, but he's on injured reserve. And then we have to worry about Dearness Johnson, who's also a freaking tank. So they're and then we need to worry about Demetric Felton. Like their running back freaking crew is so deep. It's absolutely absurd.
Yeah. I mean, when you've been bad for the last 20 years, I mean, those number one draft picks should hopefully do you well, right?
Yeah. Jarvis Landry is healthy. Frickin' Njoku's he's a half decent tight end. Baker Mayfield. I actually really like Baker Mayfield. I like watching the Browns like because of Baker Mayfield now because I think
is he recovered now? Because I know he like hurt his like shoulder.
Yeah. I forget if he missed the game or whatnot, but he seems to be doing okay now.
Yeah, because I forgot what it was, but the game or two ago, like he just kept on getting tackled on it, and like he had to like leave the game early. So I know he probably wasn't like injured, but I know he probably just like probably sat out maybe last week or a week before. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. Funny that we just start to blur together after a while because I'm like I got Chris Carson on my team and he's like been injured for a few weeks with like a neck injury. So like on fantasy, I think I picked up Alex Collins and I dropped him and somebody else picked him up and then he like had a good week. I'm like, oh damn it, like all this stuff. So fantasy.
Yeah, and Dalvin Cook actually just went on a press conference today. He's going to be in a lawsuit for him and his ex-girlfriend.
Oh shit! Really?
So I think it's towards him. It's not him against her. Like I think she was I don't know. I'm not gonna really. I don't really know too much, but I'm pretty sure she was the abuser.
Yeah. Is he gonna miss time because of that?
He said he doesn't know. But I mean, we're playing the Chargers this week, and then we have the Packers the week after. So, I mean, we have a lot of top players out. I mean, like Michael Pierce might be out. Harrison Smith still might be out. If Cook's out, then we have Madison still, so it's like not too big of a deal. But
Madison's good, and Jefferson's healthy.
Yeah, but but the Vikings are also probably not going to. I don't know. It's rough watching them. It's like shout out to the my home team that's on my home team, the Bears. I called it on Monday night. I said, why would you give Ben Roethlisberger almost 2 minutes of time? It's not a smart move. I was texting my buddies. I was like, these guys are celebrating way too much. Like, dude, they literally let this guy get a 2-minute drill. Like, this guy's been in the league for almost 20 years.
But Justin Fields led them down the field, and Santos had a chance. I think on the 65-yard field goal, he hit the upright, or he hit the crossbar. It just
actually no, he didn't. He actually hit the ground.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
So that's funny that you say that. I went over with my buddy because the thing is, when you watch the game, it gave you the back angle, and it looked like it hit the crossbar because it was like the angle from the camera was like pointing down. And then my buddy said, no, like because I turned off the game like pretty much like right after that. I was like, oh, they lost, like whatever. I don't really watch post game stuff. And my buddy said there's a camera angle where it's like the other way around. He's like 5 to 10 yards short.
Yeah, I mean a 65-yard field goal is insane.
Yeah, I mean they ruined it. They ruined his streak. He was like a 39 field goal streak. So I don't know. I don't think you'd ruin someone's streak. You should have went for the Hail Mary at that point, and just they have like a 6'7" tight end. I mean, if I had Gronkowski, I'd do a Hail Mary to him and just let him try to do a basketball player move and just grab a one hand or something.
Yeah, but what if Cole Kmet gets hurt or something like that?
Hey,
Allen Robinson now, like
YOLO.
Who's their freaking their running back now? Like I don't even know who the Bears running back is because it's just like Tariq Cohen's out.
Oh, it's Montgomery, and then they have Mooney, they have Robinson.
Montgomery, I did see Montgomery back, but he was injured for like a lot of the season. Was out, yada yada.
Yeah. So, anyways, Roman, how was Nashville, buddy? I mean, Roman's. I think he's doing a tour. He's doing a tour for his new book, How to Lose Weight in 5 Minutes. It's a new book, new research. So, if you haven't checked it out, it's on Amazon. I think it's $69.99 e-copy. I think the actual book's $2. So, he's doing like the reverse saving the environment. He's trying to make it cheaper to, waste more in the environment than making it beneficial to the environment. But hey, you're gonna have to talk to Roman and his attorneys. I don't really know.
No, the paperback is $69.69. The hard copy is $669.69, and the ebook is $669.
I thought you were gonna say your ebook is like 1 Bitcoin, because 1 Bitcoin's like worth like $64,000 right now. Like give him 1 Bitcoin and let you get a copy of my book.
One more silly point, and then we can get on to the topic at hand. I hope the Gainz podcast listeners like all our banter.
What's this? Just fast forward to the 10-minute mark. You'll be fine.
I was listening to Michaela Peterson podcast, and she does like opposing views. And she had Peter Schiff on. Do you know who Peter is? Peter Schiff?
Yes, I think a little bit.
He's talking about Bitcoin. Oh my God! If you want to like lose all faith in Bitcoin, listen to Peter Schiff about his views on Bitcoin. It is so funny.
Good thing I put my life savings into Bitcoin. Oh gosh.
Dude, that's like what he was saying. He was like, people are putting their life savings in Bitcoin. They're gonna lose their shirt, and he's just going off about it because he's a big like freaking gold guy because he owned Schiff Gold, and then he sold his like holdings in it, and now he's like the owner of or CEO of Euro Pacifica, which is his like asset company, and he like moved down to Puerto Rico so he could pay less taxes to the government. He's like such a funny guy, man.
Yeah, and also too, like it's, and I've always wanted to do, like I said, I don't know, always wanted to do like a little financial podcast about like the poor. I've always wanted to. I like, even maybe we could take this offline, or I just wanted to start it. I was gonna call it the Poor Man's Podcast, where like how like the get rich schemes are pretty easy if you just like start small. Like, I mean, coming from like a poor family, like it's not that hard to be financially free as long as like you do the right steps. But that's a lot of like info off topic of Gainz podcast that we could go into. But no, that's pretty cool. I mean, yeah, I don't put my life savings in there. Roman and I can't suggest anything. We're not financial advisors. We're not medical practitioners either. So we're not going to go into details of that. But episode 96, guys, Roman was in Arizona and then Nashville, and then I'm traveling to Chicago this weekend. Like, dude, Roman and I are just around the whole map. But episode 96, I've been always wanting to talk about this because it's just so I feel like it's so frowned upon. I feel like it's more I guess it's more frowned upon in like the male population. Not to say it's like 100% true. I'm not going to say anything's 100% true, but I think this topic of episode 96 being like yoga / like flexibility is like such like a topic that no one likes to talk about lifting. And with Roman and I's like combined like 10 plus years of like training, like I've learned to like appreciate like yoga so much these days, and I think it like can benefit like any lifter and or like a person that wants to just become more flexible and like more healthy in their body. So that's like my intro part to it, Roman. But like when I told you the topic, like yoga and like flexibility within like the fitness realm, obviously we talk mostly about like Olympic lifting, powerlifting, and bodybuilding. But like, what's your first thoughts about like those two subjects in general?
Yeah.
And then we'll kind of we'll get into it.
Yeah, I think flexibility is like ultra uber important, unless you're like one of like the very, very, very few people in like the population that have like hyperlaxity, which is just like hypermobility of different like joints, which is like very few people. So like that one one leg press video that like most people are familiar with, where people like it gives rise to like kind of like the Joel Siemens of the world. Sorry, Joel Siemens, but it's true. Where it's just like 90-degree angles, everything. Don't lock out like this movement. It's like, no, under usual circumstances, like locking out a movement is how you can get to like the like largest like range of motion, and bringing a muscle through like its largest range of motion. Like the one thing that I think is like talked about the least is like just general preparedness, and how like going full range of motion is good for general preparedness. And like, of course, it's going to look different like per person. If you've got like a 7'2" tall like center for like a basketball team, like, are you going to make him do ass to grass squats? Like, no, absolutely not. But can that guy do like knees over toes guy type lunges and or what's the name of it? Why I can't think of the name of it? Unilateral split squats. There we go. Split squats, like absolutely. And getting to like the full motion, like the whole 90-degree angle thing, you might be able to generate maximum strength from 90 degrees. But if you don't have the ability to go past that and go into these like end ranges of motion, as Joel would call them, or just like the greatest like range of motion that your body and like your biomechanics will allow you to, then when your body is forced to get into that position, because if you're not going into those positions, especially from a sport perspective, you will be forced into that position at some point. You are at a higher injury risk because your body isn't used to that stimulus. So it hasn't been able to adapt to that. So I feel like that's not talked about enough, is like just the general preparedness, even like for life. Like at some point, like you're going to have to sit down. So does it make sense to squat? Yep. Does everybody have to do a loaded barbell back squat? Nope. So like, it's just like, I don't know, it kind of like baffles me sometimes. But like from the flexibility standpoint, this was actually really funny because like Billy was just talking about this right before like we got on, but he was saying, he was kind of like, he was poking fun at us. He was like, oh, flexibility, yoga, blah, blah, blah. But he was like, flexibility is important though. He was like, I sometimes get cramps in my hips when I'm doing bench, if I'm trying to like tighten up on the bench. And it's because like, as much as I try when I work out with him to have him do like a proper warm up and like a proper cool down, he usually just wants to like shoot it with me, which is fine. Like I like doing that. But also what he was saying is that like his like medial glutes aren't able to be like flexible or like aren't like don't have the plasticity to be able to get into like the types of positions where his knees and hips are like adducted significantly away from like his body so that he can generate like enough tension through his legs and like push through his low back to his mid and then upper back and then be able to have like a nice stable platform to be able to press from. So he develops like an uncomfortable feeling in his hips and sometimes like a cramping sensation because he doesn't have that plasticity of his muscles. So like the ability for a muscle to like assume a position and then be able to like accept load in that position, like a loaded stretch, for example. So that's really interesting. That was like a really interesting point. So like people are like, what the heck? Why do I need to have hip flexibility when I bench press? It's like, well, it's so that you can like derive as much power as you can, which all starts like from like the feet up. Like, and the best way you can do it, just throw on like whatever you can do for like 10 reps with your feet on the ground, then like do it with your feet up and you'll probably get like 5, 6 or 7 reps. And you'd be like, why was I so wobbly on the bench? It's because you don't have a stable platform, because your platform then became the bench. Then unless you're benching off of like a piece of plywood, which is like not super comfortable, then you're going to be kind of like wobbly all through the cushion, because the force vectors that are going down into the bench itself are going to be all uneven, because it's going to be based off of like the concavity of your back and how it's pressed down due to gravity from like and like onto the bench. So that's why people like develop that like instability, which maybe that's like another podcast we could talk about, is like instability training and like its limited scope. Not to say that it doesn't have a scope, but like it's limited scope, because like it is taking off on like Instagram and stuff like that, and I'm seeing more and more people doing it, and people that I would assume like should probably go back to the basics and they could get a whole lot more out of that. And then like one more like quick note on yoga and how it kind of aids to flexibility. I think one area where people discount like the benefits of yoga are some of like the overhead positions, because of like the modern like lifestyle. I think most people, I'm pretty comfortable saying like most able-bodied people could benefit significantly from yoga, just because like in an upward dog position, for example, where your hands are above your head and your hips are above your head, you're like pressing into the ground and you're trying to create a stable base, and you're going to be firing all of the stabilizing muscles of the scapula. So the infraspinatus, the supraspinatus, the rhomboids, and those are going to help to create a nice tight shoulder girdle whenever you do anything, whenever you push open a door, whenever you try to like pull a cardboard box towards yourself so you can flip through like old photos before you like move on to like the next moving task that you have, for example. So I think people like dramatically underestimate the benefit that yoga can have for activating like different stabilizer muscles that might not get as much work if you're just purely doing resistance exercise training in the gym.
Yeah, and also too, to that point, is like I think we did a virtual like yoga session for like work too. It's like also too, like if you think about it, and we preach it a lot, is this generation and like the generation before us, when it comes to like the working population, most of the time they're just sitting on their butts, then looking at a screen, sitting on their butts, looking at a screen. If it's on the train or in the car, you're sitting down, then you go to the office, look at your screen, sit down, you get in your car, you sit down, you go home, sit on the couch, you sit down, and then you lay down to go to bed, and then you repeat it. And like you might go to the gym, or you might do groceries, you might walk the dog, you might play with your kids. But see, the thing is, like Roman was saying, with like the all the stabilizing muscles like in the upper body when like downward dog, it's crazy because most of the time, like, when you're sitting down, you're not activating a lot of muscles, and like even getting in these like different movements when it comes to like the yoga practice itself, it's just so beneficial. Like, like with me, like Sam laughs at me 24/7 when we're doing yoga because it's hard for me. So it's like it's pretty fun to do something different that's like challenging because I've been powerlifting and bodybuilding for like a bunch of years now, where that stuff kind of like comes natural because we've been doing it for so long. But like stuff like this, it's just crazy because obviously I went from belted training most of my lifting career. Now I'm doing beltless, and then with the squat, like I'm trying to go full range of motion on the squat and set it just 90 degrees or as far as possible. And like these movements and this like extended stretching is actually helping me get into that position where I remember like when I first started squatting, I would have to warm up so much. And obviously this is probably part of like the extended stretching, but like I would go like the first couple sets of warming up, and like it would take me like a while. I would have to like work in the position, which is probably not that good for you, especially if like you keep like, say if you go bar 95, 135, 185, 225. Like I remember like it would feel more comfortable after like the third set, but in reality, like I should be able to get in that position in the bar position, because see the thing is, if I wasn't ready to get to the bar position and I couldn't get below 90 degrees, like it might be safe to say, with like Roman was saying, like reduce the percentage of injury or the rate of injury. Like it'd be better if I could get below the 90 degrees before I got to 135 or 185, because see the thing is, like if you think about, those are three different movement patterns. So like if I hit like 90 degrees or like just above 90 degrees on the bar, and then 95 pounds I hit 90 degrees, and then 135 I got just a little bit below, and then 185 I got even more below. That's like four different movements right there, which it's not consistent, especially in like the powerlifting community. If you guys know who Ed Cohn is, one of the best powerlifters that were ever been around. He would always say, like, with powerlifting, like, make sure you do it the same each rep and set, because if you keep changing it up, like that's what I was telling one of my buddies, like as much as like I used to do it back in the day, like he would ask me, he's like, oh, when should I do mixed grip on my deadlift? And I said, well, if you're doing your final set with mixed grip, well, why don't you do mixed grip the whole way through? Why would you do double overhand? What's the benefit of that? Like I don't even do double overhand on deadlifts anymore because I know I'm going to finish with a mixed grip. So why would I? It's like that same with the squat. Why would I squat with the bar above parallel, 95 pounds parallel, 135 just below, and then 185 even below? Like I shouldn't practice those planes of motion, where when I'm getting in these yoga positions, in these movements, I'm allowing myself to open the hips, get my hamstrings looser, get my glutes firing, and getting my quads like loose enough to where I get to that bar position, I'm below parallel with the bar. 95 pounds with the bar, 135 pounds with the bar. So I think for myself, I use like those stretching moments or yoga moments, yoga practices, whatever you want to call it. I use it to get into my powerlifting movements, my stances, my positioning. So it's 100% at the lowest weight and the heaviest weight, if that makes sense. And then Roman, if you want to elaborate real quick, if you need to, or if you want to.
Nice. No, that's all good stuff, buddy. No, I think that's definitely a good point. And yeah, I think it's who's Scott Mendelson, kind of talks about how like he'd be so tight and he'd have to have at least like 315 pounds on like the bench to be able to like get to depth. Otherwise, like he just couldn't. Which I think like
I think that's pretty sad. Even though he's like one of the best benchers of all time, I think that's like pretty bad.
Yeah, agreed. Because like I think from like a healthy movement pattern perspective, like he probably has troubles when it comes to like lifting his arms above his head. You know, he can probably bench 1,000 pounds, but he probably has lifting his hands above his head. You know,
or even like below, like behind the head, like
exactly. Exactly. So like from a movement perspective, I do think it's important that you should be able to get into those positions. Now it definitely can be awkward, and weight can help with like helping to like find your center of gravity. So that might be something to work on. And that's like another thing to touch upon is like I wouldn't also get down on yourself, because that's like a skill that you need to work on, being able to like be unloaded and to be able to get into a deep squat and to be able to sit in that. So like I wouldn't expect you to be able to do it overnight. So different like flexibility drills. Like one thing that I've done in the past is I've done a warm up. I've done some light stretching of my calf muscles and then some foam rolling of my calf muscles. And then I would do some tests like the Squat University test. You just take a fist with your thumb, take it to the wall. You bring your knee to your fist, and then you try to see if your knee flexion can get to touch the wall. It's not everyone's gonna like pass it, even if you are like sufficiently flexible, just based off of limb lengths, etc. But it can give you a good idea of like where you are, and then progress from there from a like a flexibility standpoint, because flexibility is really important, but what you want to get to is plasticity of the muscle. So the ability of the muscle to be able to like maintain that position, not just to be able to like flex into that position from time to time.
Yeah. And plus I've been we've been posting so much on the Gainz podcast. Like I did a yoga session already today, but I'm more than happy to post it. Like I'm literally shaking at some points. You know, awesome. There's spots. It's just I'm not afraid to admit it. It's like, when you bench for the first time and you barely bench 135. It's just, you got to take it from the beginning. Also too, maybe, I don't know if this could maybe the last thing or not, but like if you're not doing it today, maybe try like once a week, whenever you can, once a week, and then like Roman said, like start like pretty small. And also too, actually when Roman came out to Arizona, we actually we found out like yoga is like pretty easy to like start. And also too, like all we do is we go on YouTube, we type in like if there's certain area, honestly what I do is like if there's a certain area that I want to like open up or like get deeper in, like I'll do like hips. And then you could do like a time frame. So what I usually YouTube is like, okay, if I want to do 20 minutes, I'll do 20 minutes. Okay, my hamstring's been feeling kind of tight because I've been sitting a lot instead of standing up because I have a sit-stand desk. And if I've been sitting a lot, maybe my hamstrings need to be like stretched out a little bit to like open them bad boys up. So I'll do like 20 minutes hamstring yoga. And then, hit up our girl Adrienne or Sarah Beth. I think those are the two like we watch all the time. But like it's that simple. Like you just do that. You could do it at home. You could do it outside. You don't need to go to a gym and do it. And then like honestly, like I bought a yoga mat at TJ Maxx for $5. Like $5 and like a laptop or your cell phone is the starting point for this. So it's like, when we say like powerlifting is probably pretty expensive because you have to either have a gym or equipment, like this is like, you already have a cell phone or a laptop or a tablet. And then if you have carpet, you could probably do it on carpet. I just prefer a yoga mat just because. So grass is soft.
Yep.
But yeah, that's it, guys. Episode 96. If you like this video, please like it. Tell your friends, tell their friends. Like, comment, subscribe on YouTube. Don't be afraid to leave us a rating on Apple Podcasts or any app that lets you leave a rating. We're on all audio and video platforms. And then we'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.